All right, Commando Knife. Method or system, it doesn't matter what you say. How come you don't know about it? And why don't you know about it? A lot of reasons. It's hidden. Some people say it was forbidden style, and it has to do with everything involved in it. And let's kind of start at the beginning, the history of Commando Knife. What we know now as Commando Knife method started in World War II. It came out of people like Biddle, some rejections of things that Fairbairn and Sykes were doing, some things that O'Neill was doing, and the guy who trained the Devil's Brigade. There are a lot of things that were significant about knife work. Now, what a lot of people think knife work is, and there are a lot of systems that I've talked about those in some other videos, and then showing why they are failures, basically, is that they consider themselves to be an attacking system. I mean, they are an attacking system. They consider themselves to be a knife system, but they're really just attacking. You know, who can't, if someone is sleeping and you jump on him and start pummeling him with your fist, is that a fighting system? No. The same as coming up behind someone and sticking a knife in them is a knife system. It's not a knife system. That's not a knife fighting system. So let's just get rid of that. Let's talk about what a knife fighting system is. A knife fighting system is a knife man fighting someone else who's armed with a blade or armed with another tool, instrument, weapon. And so, for example, where this really developed, the Commando Knife system, was in the Pacific Theater. And that's because people like the Alamo Scouts and the Marine Raiders, whom did a lot of hand-to-hand in the jungles, were fighting people, mainly the Japanese, and also sympathizers from Indonesians and Filipinos even. There were some Filipinos who sided with the Japanese. Now, all of these places, the Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea, Philippines, Indonesia, all of this is an area where it's a blade culture. It's definitely the people train with blades. They use blades. The Japanese, obviously, you know, everyone knows because of samurai movies that they are a blade culture and they use blades and they're skilled in it and they were trained in it. So basically, the U.S. troops, mainly, that's who I'm dealing with here in this instance, were behind because they hadn't actively trained with blades for a while, but they do have a history of that. For example, the Bowie knife fighting system that was flourishing in the early 1800s. I'm just saying Bowie knife systems. You know, there was a knife system, and Jim Bowie and his brother were part of it, and his father was supposedly better. This happened in New Orleans. This is the time of when there was only one shot in a pistol or a rifle. So then you're going to be engaged at close range, and you better have some other weapons, tomahawk and knives, and a form of catch can. Wrestling evolved. Rough and tumble is what it was called. So that was very violent, very battlefield type of grappling fighting system. So from that, there was a history of knife fighting. So what happened? They used parts of what was applicable from the Bowie system, and they took other things because they had to defeat. I'm just going to say a generic term, the Filipino sort of fighting, which was bolos or machetes, which are, you know, long, and for cutting and slicing. That's why you find Filipino martial arts systems, and mainly all Oriental systems, are based off the slash, because they developed around that. They thought that was the best thing. Now, in the West, that had changed quite a bit because before that, in medieval times, they had gone through a period of slashing. The Romans also defeated other people because they did the people they fought, they depended on the slash, and they were using the thrust. Thrust remains superior for many reasons. For one thing, a person cannot absorb, if you get a 4-inch stab anywhere on your body, it's more lethal than getting a 4-inch cut on your body. Now, I'm not talking about hacking things off. I'm talking about a cut versus a puncture. So what happened then in World War II, there were several knives, and this is the Commando Knife. We've got to talk about the Commando Knife because the system is built around the tool that you're using, the implement you're using. So the Commando Knife dictates what you're going to do. And then this system developed and is completely different than Filipino martial arts. Footwork is different. The grip is different. The blades are different. So let me show you an actual World War II M3. This was issued to Rangers, I forgot to mention the Rangers, 6th Army Rangers, who were used in the South Pacific quite a bit. Now, this was an actual M3 from World War II. This is razor sharp on this, and it's back to here also on this side. Now, this allows, obviously, this is built for thrusting, which is superior. Now, a lot of people think that you cannot cut and slice with these. That's because if you're using the Filipino methods, it's not as good as certain other knives. However, there is a thing called the Commando Cut, which will not show you here because you don't know about it, and I don't want to put this out there and everyone will say, yes, I know it. You don't know it. You don't know it. This is one of the things that's been hidden. There's a way to use these in what we call the Commando Cut, and that is not used by Filipinos. They do not use the same thing. Now, this is a very fast, very difficult knife to see. Of course, blued or black, parkerized, lots of ways to protect this. This is a carbon steel, which will rust. And this is very difficult to see in the many lighting conditions, which makes it also very hard to deal with. Now, there's a way to hold these that you're going to see that most people hold the knife like this. Bowie methods with the clip point would flip it so that the clip point is up. Let me show you with another. This was actually the Mark II. This is called the Mark II, and then later through the Union Cutlery, this was changed to be called K-Bar, and now there's a company that produces them called K-Bar exclusively. But this is the Mark II knife, which everyone knows, iconic. It was used. This in the Pacific theater wasn't that great because the leather stacked rings here would rot. So if you can replace it right away, it's great. The metal is a 1095 Crowvan now. There are slight differentiations in these from different makers. A lot of people made these during World War II. Lots of these were made. So this is a modern reproduction. This thing is razor sharp. All my knives can shave hair. So, but to go about what I was talking about was, instead of being held like this, the Bowie knife was held like this because there was reasons of coming up, the upstroke, the back cut is used completely. Now, this doesn't have a big clip point. There are certain Bowie designs that do. Now, what I want to say about the Mark II was it's not completely a Bowie design, but it's called the clip point. It has this. Now, this knife compared to the M3, vastly different. M3 is made not for utility usage. It was made for just fighting. Now, what I have to get back to, though, is saying that in the Pacific theater, they were fighting people who knew how to knife fight. And there were a lot of instances where you cannot fire off a shot. If you're in the jungle and you're trying to advance on the enemy and you come across the enemy in the jungle, firing shots gives away your position, and it also means you're going to be dealing with a lot more guys. So if you're doing small tactics, and unit tactics, that is, small unit tactics, you want to be quiet. So that means knives, and you're facing guys who can use knives. Now, this was another knife that's actually this knife design. This is the modern rendition of it. I don't have the actual World War II ones. I wish I did. This is it's an Ek Commando knife, number 4. This is the K-Bar reproduction of it. This knife has been in 6 wars. This is designed specifically to be used in the Pacific theater because what they used was rock maple on the wood, so it didn't rot. And the knife is designed for fighting. It is a really good knife. This knife cuts far better than what you would think it would do. Obviously, you can see that it's made for thrusting, and that's part of the Commando knife system that you don't know about. It's built on thrusting. The footwork you don't know about. It's not like Filipinos at all. It's completely different than that. So from the Ek knife, which is still available now, but they ended actual production in the early 2000s. This knife and the other M3. The M3 actually was the focus of all bayonets because the M3 became the M4 through the M7. This is M7. This is Vietnam era M7. This is also razor sharp because people say bayonets are not sharp. They can be. 1095 still can be sharpened. This is exactly the same blade design, same blade length, as the M3. Only difference is the handle is different. Of course, it can attach to the M16, and it has a bigger guard, which is actually beneficial. This is well designed for weight. Commando knives differ vastly from choppers because choppers have most of the weight in the blade. Exact opposite. It should be most of the weight is in the handle for Commando knives because of the method that we use to fight. Now, the modern Commando knife, what we use in all of our courses are, for example, our kilo, pre-kilo, or phase kilo, and the actual 5-day kilo course is the Glock field knife. And this is the Glock field knife. This is also razor sharp, spring steel, Rockwell 55, 8.8 ounces in the sheath. This is 11.4 ounces, or 11.4 inches long, total 6.5 inch blade. And that's something I need to mention. Commando knife system is built on the 5 to 8 inch blade. This also, because that changes the blade length, obviously changes how you can use it. The modern version now of one of the, at the limit of what we can use the Commando knife is with the OKC 3S, the Marine bayonet combat knife. This is a great knife. This is the blade is 8 inches long. And this is also about the same Rockwell of 56, 57, I think. This is a great knife, an incredibly good knife. It's better than the Army's M9. Ontario makes these. Ontario's has made a lot of military knives throughout the years. They also make some things that don't reach that same standard. This, I got to say, is one hell of a knife. Now, the Commando system works with this knife. Now, I don't want to talk about specifics because that's the thing here. If you're putting it out on YouTube, people will claim, yeah, I knew that, or they'll start stealing it, or they'll replicate it, because my material has been out since 1995 and to the world. And I see a lot of people who've stolen my stuff, not giving me credit, and then saying, yeah, we had it. No, you didn't have it. You didn't have it. You didn't have it. So what I want to tell you about the Commando knife system is that it exists. It's been hidden. It is designed to defeat other knife systems. That's something that has been evolving. And it's just started in World War II, like I'm saying. Biddle had a lot to do with it. And then it has evolved. And it continues to evolve as we face different knife systems. As we dismantle, for example, systems like I'm saying generic Filipino martial arts knife and Salat knife. We dismantle such things as the Piper Libre, which are not knife fighting systems, they're knife attacking systems. And we deal with the old military systems that people use. Some of the things that people will try to do, there's a Russian knife fighting system. It's not the Systema, it's just to get you people clear. All those things are things that we've had to encounter and deal with. So this is another reason why you probably don't know about the Commando knife system, because it's operational and people have been using it. It has not been something that's been grabbed and commercialized and put out for people. It's not like what you see with Filipino things. It has been born in war and it's been used in war and it has evolved in war. So all of these things, I mean, very few people know about it and very few people are actually subject matter experts in it. There are people who know things about Bowie knife fighting systems. A lot of people know different things about stylized Filipino things or Salat methods, but they have not faced what we do. Everything we do is completely different. And some people say, well, it's an eclectic. It's an eclectic. Well, yes, it is. It's meant to work. It's based off of results and productivity of living in a war condition. So anyway, there's a little bit about the Commando knife that you did not know, a bit of the history, a bit of the knives that we use, knives that it's built on, the knives that it's that are iconic with it. All of these things are important because Commando knife system method is completely different than anything else you've seen. Completely different. And I invite you, those of you who are interested and serious, probably 0.01% of you, you can come to some of our courses. Like I said, we run the kilo course, we run the pre-kilo course to qualify to go to phase kilo, and then phase kilo is very intensive, very much just about the Commando knife, 5 to 8 inch blade. And we are also have a 5-day course. Now that's far more intensive, obviously, and far more serious because you'll do everything in that. You do unarmed versus knife. You'll do knife versus knife. Many being ambushed. All that stuff you handle in that course. Now, this is something that you can find from 2 with the number 2 counterviolence.com. can also find it on combat-judo.com. You can also find it on fluentfighting.com and in my Facebook page and my groups that I have, Tiger Clan Weapons Fighters and also the Combat Judo group. You can apply to get in. Now, I have put some of those things below so you can replay this to get that. I said that very quickly, but I just want you to know that this has been hidden, it's been forbidden, and you didn't know about it. And just because you didn't know about it didn't mean it didn't exist. And isn't that the thing that gets you, right? It's the bullet that you didn't know about that kills you. It's the punch you didn't see that knocks you out. Same thing. It's the knife method you didn't hear about, didn't know about, and didn't learn about that's going to get you. Okay, so this is Christophe Clugston, or as I said, fluentfighting.com, 2counterviolence.com, combat-judo.com, saying train, be smart, and for God's sakes, as they say, prepare. All right, I'll talk to you later.